Hello everyone, it's me again, Linux Robot Geek, and happy 2023. And this channel has now reached 100 subscribers, so thank you so much for subscribing. In this video, we are going to control a robot using WordPress. I will show you the step-by-step method to do that, and I'll also show you the demo. So let's get started. Welcome back. Let's start with this repo I created last year called WordPress Robot Control. So we have a bunch of files here, but you will only need a few files from here. So here I have the README file where I talk about how to get started, and here are some screenshots. Of course, the one we will be using is, of course, this one. Now, this is the one I actually used. I also tested this one. So let's start it with what you need to do first. First, you need to set up WordPress. And here you can do this using this tutorial from the Raspberry Pi Foundation called Build a LAMP web server with WordPress. And LAMP simply stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. And all you need to do is follow each step as you can see here. So I will link this in the description so you can get started. I also created a file called webserver.txt, which should get you started as well. So here you would install Apache, go to localhost, then change the index.html file that is created to whatever you like. Then install PHP. Then of course alter the PHP file where you can add this. This is echo hello world. This is some PHP code snippet. Then you can remove the index.html file once you're done. Restart the service. Of course, you can also display the date using the echo date code as you can see here. Then install MariaDB server and PHP MySQL. Go into the var www.html directory. Remove everything from there. Then do sudo wget wordpress.org latest.tar.gz. Then extract, copy everything to the current directory, which is the var www.html directory. Remove the tar file, then run ls, and this should show up. Once this shows up, then you did everything right. Then change ownership using sudo chown r www.data to the current directory. Then run sudo mysql secure installation, enter yes, set root password, new password, remove anonymous user, disallow root login remotely, remove test database and access to it, and reload privilege tables now. Then run sudo mysql and then new root p, create a database called WordPress. Then it should have one row. It should say query OK, one row affected. Then you want to grant all privileges on WordPress to root localhost identified by your password. Flush the privileges, exit with Control D, then reboot, then do HTTP localhost here, then create a database called WordPress, username root, password the password you created, then localhost would be the database host, and then the prefix would be WP_. Then you run the installation. Make sure you follow all the steps from the link. Then go to site title, username, password, email, search engine visibility, and then you install WordPress. Then you can add a page, which is optional, but for this case, you will definitely need to add a page. Then you will either go to localhost wp admin or HTTP, the IP address of your Pi, and then wp admin. The main code we should be focused on is this one. Let me explain each line. So this is the PHP file. So we have our style here with our padding, display, font size, background, and border radius. And then we have our title here. But the most important thing is we have our PHP here. These are if statements. So here we have if is set post button 1. So if this is pressed, if it's telling us if button 1, which is right here, is pressed, then it will execute this, which is robot_forward.py, and then it will echo forward. So basically, if I press the button, it will go forward and then stop. Or in this case, it will go forward. And then for button 2, same thing. It will go backward. For button 3, it will go left. Button 4, it will go right. And then button 5, it will stop. Now it says echo right, but it should say stop. But if you can change this here. Then of course, we have our buttons here, and our method here is post. And each button will go forward, backward, left, right, or stop. And of course, I have the code here. So we have, for example, robot forward. So we have the libraries here. We import output device, then we import PyGPIO factory, and then we import pause. And then of course we have our IP address for the factory. You can change this here. Then we have pin 7, 8, 9, and 10. We have forward here. Of course you can change this if this doesn't work, because sometimes forward will be backward or forward will be right or left. So make sure you adjust this as needed, and it will go forward, and then it will run continuously. And then for robot stop, it will simply just stop everything. So that's the main code. Those are the main files that you should worry about. So now let's talk about this page. Now, the page will reload as you'll see in the demo. And by the way, I recorded the demo last year. So as you'll see, the page will reload because it's PHP. Now, in order to get PHP to run, you'll have to use the XYZ code plugin from WordPress. Click on plugins, then search for XYZ PHP code and then install it. Then you'll add a code snippet, provide the title, then use the robots2 PHP file, and then copy it, then paste. Then click on create, use the shortcode snippet, go to pages, and then create a new page, add a title, then paste the shortcode. And then make sure that the robot you have is booted, and make sure that PyGPIO is enabled with sudo pygpiod. And then after that, the button should work. So when you press the buttons, the robot should move forward, backward, left, right, and then you can stop. However, if you have an issue with permissions, you can run this command here by running sudo vis sudo and then add this line here, and it should work. But of course, as I say here, warning, don't do this unless you know what you're doing. And then once you're done, you can just remove these permissions. Also, there is an issue when you run these Python scripts, is that they will take up CPU space. So after you're done with the application, you can use the pkill command with sudo pkill python. This will, of course, terminate all the queued Python commands. So I added this because apparently there was an issue when I tried this before. Also, I should note this is a project meant for fun. Please don't use this in your production web server. So this is more of a fun project to try out. So now that I explained how the code works, let's get to the demo, which I recorded last year. Hello everyone, welcome back. So as you guys can see, I have successfully created a web server using my Pi 4, and I created a web page that controls my robot Torvalds. So I created 5 buttons for each direction, including stop. So I can press this button and then stop, and this, and then stop, and this one, and then stop, and so on. It's not the most efficient, but since I'm using Python and PHP, it's the best solution so far. So let me show you. So I'm going to make Torvalds go forward and then stop. Then backward. So let's go left. And then finally, we will go right. Now, what I didn't show is that the page actually reloads. So if I press right and then stop, see, it reloads because we're using PHP. Now, this isn't the most elegant solution, but it is the best solution, as I said before. And I'm pretty happy with the final result. So that's it for this little fun experiment, and I'll see you guys next time. So that wraps things up for this video. Hopefully you learned how to use a web server in very unique and different ways. Now, as I mentioned before, do not use this in your production server. This is just for a bit of fun. So that's it for this video, and see you next time.